So welcome friends, and what we're going to do today is look at the arms and shoulders, strengthening them, the joints. When we look at them, we see that they are pretty awesome really, and awesome's a word that's overused a lot today. But if you think about it, the way that you can take an arm, you can have the thumb pointing backwards, you can twist it in 360 degrees and have it pointing the other way. You can work your arms around at 360 degrees, you can touch the opposite shoulder, you can bring your arm up around your back. That's an amazing mechanical feat. So we're going to look at strengthening the muscles around those joints. Remember that although this is a wonderful joint, because it has such maneuverability, there are weaknesses. So it can just get popped out of place. It doesn't have the same amount of security as the hip joint. So we're going to look at that and work on strengthening and keeping healthy the muscles and the joints. We'll start off with an Om and a statement of intent, and the value of Om is that you will vibrate the vocal cords, and in so doing it helps to clear the sinuses, it helps to calm the system, so it's good for the cardiovascular system, it lowers stress, and it induces a nice, steady, regular heartbeat. So blood pressure is brought back to normal and you've got a nice, steady heartbeat. So we'll say Om 3 times. If you're shy about that, you can always say it mentally, just join in with it mentally. Otherwise, a good, strong vibration is really good for the vocal cords, as I say, and clearing the sinuses. First, let's just focus a little bit on deep breathing. So you might want to just walk your fingertips out to the sides and back, feel the shoulder blades coming together, and then walk them back to the front again. Walk the hands back again, feel the shoulder blades coming together, and walk them back to the front. And then just rest your hands on your abdomen and inhale deeply so that you can feel the abdomen swelling out, telling you that you're breathing into the lower part of the lungs. And then exhale completely, pulling the stomach into the spine, getting rid of the stale air from all the little nooks and crannies. Inhale again. Remember, the lower parts of the lungs are the most effective in oxygen interchange. Pull the stomach right in, exhale fully, nice and steadily and calmly. And once more, inhale fully, exhale completely. And then we'll inhale and we'll do 3 Oms. So inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Inhale. Om. Okay. That was a nice little traditional Hatha opening, or you can call it a statement of intent, you can call it a prayer, you can call it setting a really nice atmosphere. And I wish I knew the Sanskrit for it, but I don't. So just putting it into my own words, it's basically, may we, teacher and students, progress together in our studies of yoga. May we enjoy our studies. May we perform our studies with focus and, always banging on about it, self-awareness. And may we be filled with a light of understanding and let that help us develop our bond of friendship. Okay, so there are some exercises here. Yoga is one of the safest forms of exercise, but as all exercises, there is the possibility of injury. So do not do anything that you feel isn't right. Any sign of pain, as always, is a sign that you're doing something you shouldn't. So stop. The inversions, if you have cervical spondylitis, or you're menstruating, or you have any kind of neck or back or spinal issues, don't do those. Otherwise, enjoy it. And we can start by coming into a standing position, and just firstly come into Tadasana with your feet close together and stretching up through the crown of your head, just feeling where you are, being aware of your body, stretching up, and then maybe just tilting slightly backwards and forwards and being aware of how that affects the balance of the weight through the balls of the feet and then through the heels. And then let's take that a stage further by inhaling and coming up on our toes. You can raise your arms if you want, exhale down, and just come back lifting the toes. Inhale up and exhale down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Two more. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And this time, inhale up onto your toes and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then come back down onto your heels, curl up your toes and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then with your feet close together still, bring your hands to your knees just to protect your knees, and then make 4 little circles in one direction, and then 4 little circles in the opposite direction. So we're just warming up the knee joints there. We can go back to the ankles now, and if you rotate your left ankle 5 times, and then 5 times in the opposite direction. By all means, lean against a wall or a chair if that helps you. And then the same on the other side. And then we go into semi-squat. So you want your feet directly underneath your hips. So inhale into a squat. Inhale as you come up. Exhale as you go down into the squat. Exhale and inhale. Exhale, 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 inhale. And then just come into chair pose. So from the side view, we're bending the knees. We've got the thighs working here. And we're looking slightly upwards and the arms are stretched up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to work on the lumbar region of the spine. So we're going to rock the hips backwards and forwards. So we're rocking like this. We're working the spine. So if you look at the lumbar region of the spine, that's what's working. Notice the difference between this pelvic rock, if you like, and the torso rock, where you're moving backwards and forwards like that. So at the moment we're just working the lumbar region, so it's the hips that are rotating, moving backwards and forwards. Okay, and then from here we can rotate the hips. So just with our feet about hip width apart, doing 4 or 5 circles in one direction. And then 4 or 5 circles in the opposite direction. Okay. And then an exercise that you'll often see the footballers doing before they start their match, when they're warming up out on the pitch, lifting your knee up, out to the side and down again. Knee up, out to the side and down. And you can see how you are working the hip joints nicely with this. If you want a bit of brain coordination while you're doing it, you can lift the opposite hand up and out to the side. That's only if you're quite comfortable with doing that. Okay, and then from there we can just warm up the arms and shoulders. We're doing quite a bit of work with the arms and shoulders, so just bringing the arm up and stretching. And as you're doing that, if you like, you can look up as you're bringing the right hand up, look up to the right. As you're bringing the left hand up, look diagonally up to the left. Okay, and then from there, we can take our arms and either join the hands at the back, pulling the shoulder blades together, or you can fold your arms and take hold of your elbows and just hold that for a count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then bring your arms overhead and again count for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we can interlink the fingers, inhale the arms up and overhead, and then bend the whole system to one side while you're looking to the other. So if your hands are stretching over to the left, you're looking up to the right. If your hands are bending over to the right, you're looking over to the left. And it doesn't matter which you do first, we're doing both. Breathe in deeply, breathe out slowly. Breathing in through the nose, using the Ujjayi breath if you're comfortable with that. And one last breath. And then back to the center. Bring the hands down for a moment. Roll the shoulders. And then interlink the hands. And inhale as you bring them up and over to the other side. 4 or 5 breaths. Okay, and then bringing the hands down, and okay. So now we can go into a really thorough part of the warm-up routine, the Sun Salutation, which exercises joints and muscles in a really thorough way. So if we start at the front of your mat and just relax, and you can bend your knees. For the first one here, now you can have your feet directly underneath your hips, so your feet aren't close together for this. And we bring the hands up to Anjali Mudra at the chest, and then inhale up, gentle back bend, nice stretch, and then bending the knees, exhaling as we come down. Bring the right foot back and top of the foot against the floor, looking up, looking straight ahead, chest up, and then tuck the toes of the right foot underneath. Come back into plank. From plank, we bring knees, chest and chin down onto the floor, tuck the elbows in, flick the feet out, inhale up into cobra, tuck the toes underneath, exhale back into downward facing dog. Maybe just spend a moment here pushing down through the fingers. And then right foot went back first, so right foot comes forward first. And again, head up, chest up, foot at the back, change so that it's down. And just being aware of how we're opening up the hips here. One forwards and one backwards, so we're getting a nice stretch in the hips. Tuck the toes underneath at the back, and then we can push ourselves into the standing forward fold. Again, you can bend your knees and inhale up, and then exhale down and take the left foot back first. Again, coming into the low lunge, head up, chest up, and then from there going into plank. From plank, coming down, knees, chest and chin to the floor, tuck the elbows in, flick the feet out. Inhale up into cobra, tuck the toes underneath, exhale back into downward facing dog. And then left foot went back first, left foot comes forward first. Back into the low lunge, looking straight ahead, and then tuck the toes of the right foot so that you can push yourself back into the standing forward fold. Inhale up and hands back into prayer position, Anjali Mudra. Just taking stock for a moment. Just being aware of how you feel. And then we can do it again, and this time you might want to bring your feet together. You might want to keep the legs straight as you go down, give the hamstrings a bit of a stretch. See how you feel about that. So inhale up, gentle back bend, and then exhale forwards and down. Right foot goes back first, looking straight ahead, chest up, and then coming back into plank. From plank, knees, chest and chin, tuck the elbows in, flick the feet out, inhale up into cobra, exhale as you bring the feet round and into downward facing dog. Right foot comes forward, low lunge, head up, chest up, tuck the feet, tuck the toes of the left foot and bring yourself back into your standing forward fold. Inhale the arms up, exhale down again, left foot goes back, low lunge, then back into the plank. From plank, knees, chest and chin, tuck the elbows in, flick the feet out, inhale up into cobra, tuck the toes underneath, back into downward facing dog, left foot forward, low lunge, head up, chest up, feel the hip joints, and then back into the standing forward fold. Inhale up and back in again, just pausing. Breathing steadily, taking account of how you feel. And then third set, and maybe this time going a little bit faster. So inhaling up, exhaling down. Right foot goes back, head up, chest up, into the plank. From the plank, knees, chest and chin, tuck the elbows in, come up into cobra. Tuck the toes underneath, come back into downward facing dog. Right foot forwards and low lunge. Left foot tucks underneath, comes back into the standing forward fold. Inhale up, exhale down. Left foot goes back, low lunge, head up, chest up. Back into the plank. Knees, chest and chin, tuck the elbows in, flick the feet out. Into cobra, tuck the toes underneath. Back into downward facing dog. Left foot comes forwards. Low lunge, tuck the toes underneath, back into the standing forward fold, inhale up and back, hands to your chest, ready to continue with the exercises. Okay, we can start to work on the fingers now, so just gently pull each finger back against it. This is really good for working against arthritis. Just going through each finger and pulling it back against the hand, giving it a nice stretch. And then we want to do the opposite. So take hold of the fingernail and with your thumb, press so that the finger's being bent in the opposite direction to what you've just done. So you're working those knuckles in the opposite way. And it's just a quick squeeze on each one so that you've bent those knuckles in one direction as far as you can and then in the other. Okay, what about the wrists? Well, to start with, make a figure of 8. So you interlock your hands and you make a figure of 8 with the wrists. And then we can do a wave-like action with the wrists. And then we want to twist the wrists. So if you start with your left hand out and your thumb pointing down, take the other hand and wrap the fingers around the back of the hand and then bring the right thumb into the palm. So you've got a really good grip of your left hand with your right, and then draw it in towards you, twisting as you go. So the palm that's facing left to begin with ends up facing up towards the ceiling. So you're giving that wrist a nice twist. A twist for the wrist. And after 4 or 5, just do the same on the other side, bringing your fingers to the back of the hand, thumb into the palm, and then your thumb of the wrist that you're going to twist is pointing downwards. Twist it till the thumb is pointing out to the side. And again, 4 or 5 times. Nice and steadily. It's not a jerky movement. Okay, and then we want to work a little bit more on the elbows and shoulders. So we can just touch the opposite shoulder. And if you can't quite get there, that's okay. Just go as far as you can. We can then rotate the shoulders. So if you bring your hands to your collarbones and bring the elbows together, inhale the elbows up, out to the side, exhale down. Inhale up, and exhale down. And 3 more. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Last one, inhale and exhale. And then reverse the direction. So inhale as the elbows go up at the sides. Exhale as they come together and go down in the middle. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last one, inhale and exhale. Okay, so if you have a belt handy, you might want to use that for the next exercise. The idea is to just take it and move it over and back nice and gently. But if you haven't got a belt, then what you could do instead is interlink the fingers behind your back, inhale the arms up and exhale them down again. Inhale up and exhale down. Otherwise, take your belt in your right hand and drop it down your back. Take hold of it then with your left. And you can pull the left hand up and then pull the right hand down. And just gently work up and down the back, nice and gently. You can then, if you want, hold it in one position, pulling the left hand as high up your back as you can, and then pulling the right hand down as far as you can. Or, if you're comfortable doing it without the belt, then bring the left hand around your back, pull it across and up your back as far as is comfortable for you. And then inhale as you stretch your right hand up and bring it down to meet the fingers of the left hand. And if they meet, then you can maybe just pull your hands together. Of course, it doesn't have to be a yoga belt that we're using. It can be any belt or an old tie, anything that will bridge that gap between the hands if you're struggling with that. Notice the stretch on that left shoulder, on the left deltoid. Okay, and remember to keep this upper arm close to your head, close to your ear, and you're stretching up. We're holding it for 4 or 5 breaths and we're relaxing into it. We're not struggling, we're not forcing, we're just relaxing into the pose, enjoying the stretch. And when we come out of it, we come out of it with control. We don't just let go and let the hand fly. So nice and gently as you release your fingers, you do so gently and with control. And then you might feel it in your shoulders. So roll your shoulders round 4 or 5 times. Roll your shoulders round 4 or 5 times in the opposite direction. And then drop it the other way. So we take the belt in the left hand, grab hold of it below our back with the right hand, and again you can work the belt up and down. You can hold it in one position and then the other, or again, if you're comfortable doing it without the belt, you can bring your right hand round, pull it across, help it as far up your back as you're comfortable with, and then stretch up and around, interlink the fingers and pull the hands together. And again, being careful to keep that upper arm vertical, close to your ear, and feeling that nice stretch in the right shoulder. Again, 4 or 5 breaths. And then we will come to release, releasing nice and gently and steadily, relaxing out of it. Okay, so that's been a great exercise for pulling these shoulders back, bringing these shoulder blades together. Let's balance that by bringing the shoulders forwards. So We start off by bringing the left arm across to the right and take your right forearm and bring it to the upper part of your left arm and just pull it across. So what we're doing now is stretching the muscles here that run up from the spine and run up to that shoulder blade. And we're pulling the shoulder blade forward to give them a nice stretch. And again, we're not forcing anything, we're just giving them a nice stretch. And then we can do the same on the other side. And again, we're getting a nice stretch. 4 or 5 breaths. And then we can go into eagle arms. So we would take the left elbow and pop it on top of the right. And then we aim to bring the fingers of the right hand into the left palm. If your hands are about here and you can't get them any closer, that's fine. And what we're doing, as you can see now, we've pulled the shoulders in close together. So we're doing the opposite to what we had done. Options here. If you are concerned about your balance and you don't want to do any more balancing, then what you can do instead is lean forward and focus with your mind on the area between your shoulder blades and breathe deeply into that area, feeling the shoulder blades separate and knowing that you're forcing the air by closing up the front. You're forcing the air that you're breathing in into the back of the lungs. So deep breathing into the back of the lungs. Otherwise, if you're going into the balance, just bend your knees to start with, and then bring your right foot around, and for a moment just rest the toes of your right foot on the floor while you get your balance sorted. So you might want now to raise your toes of your left foot and spread them out to give you a more stable base. You want to raise your elbows and look for a drishti point to focus your eyes on. Now I've got a little gap between my wrists so I can look through that, and I've found my focus point about 8 to 10 feet away from me. So I'm now ready to raise my right foot and aim to tuck it around my left leg for 5 breaths. And then coming out of that nice and steadily with control, rolling the shoulders round again in both directions just to loosen any tension up. Doing the same on the other side. So that was left into right, so we put the right elbow on top of the left, bring the left hand into the right, and again, just bend your knees, set yourself up by bringing the leg around and just resting the toes of the left foot on the floor. Set yourself up, finding your drishti point, maybe raising the toes, spreading them, getting that stability, and then lifting the left foot and 5 breaths. Okay, so coming out of that, what are the benefits of that? Well, for one thing, your mind is doing a great deal of work. You're coordinating the 2 hemispheres of this brain because all your nerves are wrapped around one another, and it's sorting out that jumble and keeping you balanced. So like all balances, it's a matter of not being like a statue, but acting to overcome any little fluctuations. Just like in life, we get bumps in the road as we go, and we need to maintain our balance, keep the eyes on the goal and keep going towards achieving it. So it's great for that, it's great for balance, it's especially important. As you know, I always include a balance because it's so important, especially as we get older. Okay, so moving on from that now, we've pulled the shoulders together, we've pulled the shoulders back. We can do a nice relaxing parachute pose. So for that, we bring the belt underneath the armpits and we pass it over each shoulder. So the belt is coming across and round, and it's not actually crossed at the front. We cross it at the back. So we reach it back for the opposite belt and pull it. And we don't have to pull with any force. All we're doing is relaxing it. And the weight of the arms on that, we're relaxing the shoulders. We're just letting them fall back and enjoying that release. So parachute pose is a really nice relaxation after that work that we've done with the shoulders. Okay, so from here now we can go down into some positions preparing for our inversions, and that means strengthening the arms and the shoulders and the core. Okay, so we can start with plank. Now for plank pose, you want your hands underneath your shoulders, you want your wrists underneath your shoulders. Ideally, you're going into a position where your body is like a plank of wood, so it's nice and straight. So that is plank. However, if you have problems with that, you could come down on your knees. Okay, and the further back you bring your knees, the more work you're giving your core to do, and the more work, more weight there is on the shoulders, so you're strengthening them better. So if you come into plank or your own tweaking of the version of plank for 5 breaths. Okay, and then we can come out of that. We can come into elbow plank. So for elbow plank, again, you want the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. The fingers are spread out nice and wide, and the body is straight, unless you can't do that and you need to come down onto your knees. That's okay. And again, 5 breaths. Feel the core working. Check your body. Be aware of your body. While you're continually breathing nicely and deeply and strongly, you're aware of what's going on in the body. And then come down onto your knees. And we can go into side plank. So for side plank, again, side plank, I'll just show you to begin with. You want your hand underneath your shoulder, and then you're going to come up into side plank with a nice straight body for 5 breaths. Alternatively, if you can't do side plank, you can bring your knee down and use the knee to take some of the stress. Otherwise, we can go into, you can also put one foot in front of the other and go into side plank that way. Otherwise, bring your foot on top of that one and 5 breaths. And come out of that nice and steadily, and same on the other side. So bringing your hand underneath your shoulder and Again, remember, if this is a bit tough, you can bring that left knee down to support you and do it that way. Otherwise, set yourself up. And again, you want a nice straight body and 5 breaths. Okay, coming out of that now, we can go into some core work with leg movements. So if you lie on your back, you can inhale one leg up and exhale it down. Inhale the other leg and exhale down. Point your foot as you inhale up. Flex as you exhale down. So we'll do 10, that's 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. And then we've got a choice. So you can work on, when we tend to talk about the core, people tend to think of the abs and the obliques, and certainly what we've just been doing has been working those. But you may prefer to work on those muscles that are so protective of the lumbar region of the spine. And we're talking about the one that runs across the low abdomen between the hips, the tensor abdominalis, the pelvic floor, and the string of little muscles that run up the outside of the spine, the lumbricus multifidus. So we can work on those by exhaling, pulling the stomach in, pushing the small of the back down, pulling in the pelvic floor, and just breathing normally for a count of 10. And I'm talking about 10 seconds, no, not 10 breaths. And then after that, relaxing for 10 seconds. I'm just repeating that, so you can work on that. Or if you want to work on something a little bit tougher, you can bring your hands behind your head and bring both knees up. Inhale, and as you exhale, stretch out your right leg. Bring your right elbow to your left knee. Inhale back. Exhale, stretching out your left leg, left elbow to your right knee. Inhale back. And 9 more. Exhale, inhale. Exhale, inhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then you can just bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees fall out to the sides. You can use cushions under your knees if you want, or you can use yoga blocks, but just relaxing. We're not trying to force them down. We're just relaxing, letting the hips open gently while we breathe deeply into the abdomen, feeling the abdomen swell, and then exhaling fully, pulling the stomach right in towards the spine. And again, it's 4 to 5 breaths. And then, again, we've got choices. So remember what I said about being aware of the dangers of poses, in particular these inversions that we're going to work on now. And so the first one is legs up against the wall pose, or Viparita Karina. You're welcome to place a cushion close to the wall. You want to get as close to the wall as possible. So if you want to bring a cushion there to sit on for this, that's fine. And then bring your hips as close as you can. Lie on your back then and bring the legs up against the wall. And you're getting that advantage of the blood flowing down. It's good for the feet and the knees. And the organs and muscles of the body are now having gravity affecting the blood in a totally different way. If you want, you can have your hands out by your sides and you can just relax the feet out to the sides, letting the hip joints open nicely, relaxing there, again not forcing, just relaxing. So you can stay in that, that's it, is it supposed to be a nice relaxing pose. You can stay in that pose, or you can go into half shoulder stand. So for half shoulder stand, you would firstly use a small cushion, or you can fold up the edge of your mat, but you want that foam underneath the shoulders. And remember, it is a shoulder stand, so you don't want any weight on the neck. The weight comes onto the shoulders. So the first thing we want to do is check that our shoulders are in the correct position. So having got the cushion ready, we can bring the fingers to just touch the shoulders and check that the neck is free, but the shoulders are well supported. Okay, and then we can bring the hands down, and we're going to use the hands to help us bring the knees up. And we bend the knees up close, and then pushing down, we bring them over, and then we bring the elbows close together behind the back and bring them to support the spine. Now, if you like, you can have the spine at an angle, and that is, if you're any bit worried about the full shoulder stand, that's the way to do it. Do the half shoulder stand. You've got your weight then of your legs and your hips divided between your elbows and your shoulders, but the neck and head are free. There's no weight on my neck. Okay, if you are going to go into the full shoulder stand, then I would only do this if you've done it under supervision, and then you would make the spine more vertical and bring the legs up into a more vertical position. And unless you're doing this on a regular basis, you wouldn't hold the pose for more than about 15 seconds. And then again, in coming down, you don't just fall down, you come down nice and gently. You put the hands down to control your descent, and you roll down, and you're ready for the next pose. Breathing deeply, getting yourself back to a steady position. If you want to then do the plough, you can bring a chair up for the feet to come over and rest on. You can bring a bolster for your feet to come over on, or if you're comfortable going over that way, you start in the same way, bringing the knees up, supporting your back and holding your hands together, and then using the arms and pushing to bring yourself into plough. And again, hands to the sides, bending your knees to come out of it. Arms are using the strength to control your descent. The next exercise that we're going to go into now is the dolphin. So the dolphin is a great exercise for strengthening the arms. If we're going to go into the king of poses, the headstand, then we need strong arms and shoulders. We don't want any weight on the neck or the head. We want it to be on the shoulders. So we can strengthen that by firstly forming an equilateral triangle by taking hold of the opposite elbows and then bringing the hands together, and we can come up into what would be dog face down, but we're on our forearms instead, and then we rock backwards and forwards. Inhale forwards, exhale back. So this is a great exercise for developing the power, and the core exercise as well, for developing the power to do the headstand. If you haven't done the headstand on a one-to-one basis with me or with other yoga teachers, do not try it on your own, okay? And do not try it on your own if you have any of those problems that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so again, we need a nice protection. So it's a good idea to get plenty of folds to set up our equilateral triangle with the elbows and the hands. And the little fingers are important here, because the little fingers just fit in beside the crown of the head and give that added stability. So we have the triangle, we have the interlinked fingers, and we put the crown of the head just fitted in snugly in that position. And then you walk your feet towards your head, and then you bring up one leg at a time. And in this position then, you're ready to straighten the legs, coming into the headstand. And all the weight is coming down through my shoulders, my forearms, and there's no weight. As you can see, I'm gently shaking my head, showing that it's my arms and shoulders that are taking the weight. And of course, again, you can add things like turning it into a hip opener. You can come into bound angle pose. And then when you're ready, you can come down with control. But remember always that safety is the foremost subject. Okay, it's then a good idea to come into fish pose. So for fish pose, we put the hands underneath the hips and we use the forearms and elbows to lever ourselves up and then come onto the crown of the head. So it's just a nice stretch for the neck in the opposite direction. So having done plough, with the neck sort of bent in one direction, fish is a nice compensation for it. And then again, after 4 or 5 breaths, just releasing, and we can do a gentle twist for the spine as a nice preparation for relaxation. the twisting of the spine releases any tensions that have been built up during the exercise. So the first thing we want to do is just push the hips out to the side. That way, when we drop the knees, if you push your hips out to the left, you drop the knees to the right, the spine is still in a straight line. Twisted, yes, but it's in a straight line. And then we can put the arms out to the side and turn the head in the opposite direction to the knees and relax. 4 or 5 breaths. Okay, and then you can come back from that and do exactly the same on the other side. So pushing down through the feet, bringing the hips out to the right, dropping the knees to the left, getting that nice gentle spinal twist, and you're looking over your right shoulder, arms out to the side. Okay, and then coming out of that nicely and setting yourself up for Shavasana and your final relaxation. So ideally you stretch your legs out, you let your feet fall to the side, you rest your arms by your side, palms upwards, you make sure that your head is relaxed and your neck's comfortable. I know some of you find this position difficult, so those few of you who do, you have other options. You can bring your feet out to the side and just balance your knees against each other, relaxing that way. If it's your neck, you might find you need a cushion underneath. You might find it helps most to put a rolled up blanket underneath your knees. So make sure now that you're settled into a comfortable position. You might want to put a blanket over you, because as you relax, your body, blood cools down. So it's good to make sure that you're warm enough so that you don't, that your relaxation isn't disturbed. And then close your eyes gently. Focus on your breath. And just enjoy that nice, steady feeling of the breath coming in without forcing it. You're just aware of the breath. Now I know most of you like me to talk you through a relaxation while you're in this stage. So you might like to imagine a golden glow in your feet. A golden glow that helps to relax the feet. And then just imagine that golden glow relaxing the hips, the calves, the knees, the hip joints, the abdomen, the digestive system, where we often hold so much tension in the abdomen, letting it go. Relaxing the organs up into the heart and the lungs. Maybe imagining that golden glow at the base of the spine and just letting it flow up the spine, reach the shoulders, and cascade down from the shoulders through the arms to the tips of the fingers, relaxing all the muscles as they go. And to the neck, relaxing the jaw, another place we hold so much tension in the neck and the jaw. The cheeks, relax the cheeks. Muscles around the eyes that control the eye movement. The forehead. The scalp. And then just taking a moment or two to enjoy that state of deep relaxation. And then just move your fingers and toes slightly. Roll over onto your right side. Bringing your left hand down in front of your chest, bending your knees. Just taking a few more breaths before coming up into a sitting position. And I'll finish with a traditional saying that I got from a yin yoga teacher, Biff Mithofer. May all beings be free from fear and pain. May we all be happy just the way we are. May we be at peace with whatever comes. And may we rest gently in the softness of our hearts. So you can open your eyes gently now. Thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have, and you feel good and refreshed and stretched. Have a great day and namaste. Thank you all very much.